Enjoy the show.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode number 116 of Siriani Says Sports. Sorry, that was just a little quick my best little John Cena shtick that I wanted to do because obviously, something
You can't help
significant happened.
yourself.
Couldn't help myself. I was thinking about doing it, but then I thought against it. But I was like, you know what? Why not? But anyways, I'm Nat Siriani, and besides the fact that we had, Chris Jericho said it right there, champion. I'll put it there. But anyways, I'm Nat Siriani, and I actually want to give a couple shout outs to some people. So first off, I want to give a shout out to a man that I actually have known for a really long time. I saw him yesterday at Outback. He was with a friend of his, and the Terps still rule. Exactly, they still do. He's a good friend of mine for a long period of time. I saw him at Outback with a friend of his yesterday, and he actually watches this show. And I gotta give a shout out to him. His name is Christopher Lamonaco. He's a great guy, knows his sports very well. He saw me today. I've known Chris since probably elementary school. And he told me that he loves the show and that he still watches it on a weekly basis. And he told me, don't stop the show. And Chris, if you're watching, thank you, man, for your support. We appreciate it. And also, I want to give another shout out to my friends Lindsay and Sierra from work. They got me this Giants Jints shirt for Christmas and my birthday. I gotta give a shout out to them for that. It's a great shirt, love it. Ryan thought it was clean.
It's a clean shirt, Maddie.
It's a clean shirt. So I want to give a shout out to Lindsay and Sierra for that. And also I want to give a shout out to Chris Jericho for being the first to come in and the last to leave for the show, as always. But other than that, another fun fact about me, Matt Siriani. And as the great John Cena says, the champ is here! And that's Ryan Barron Jr. How you doing, Ryan?
All right. Cold. Home from school, which is obviously cool. A little bit more peace and quiet, but we'll let her go. But yeah, Maddie, excited for holiday season, obviously. But yeah, excited to be back. Took a week off, but we're good.
Yeah, we took a week off because we had a little couple things with my birthday conflict. We didn't celebrate my birthday for the second year in a row because stuff happens on my birthday, and unfortunately, I had to celebrate with my family and my friends, which isn't a problem at all. I shouldn't have said unfortunately, but family, friends, other stuff, they wanted to celebrate with me, and I had to do my part, and I had to celebrate with them, and I love celebrating with my family and friends.
Good
And then
man,
we got
Maddie.
Laura Antonio back from Burbank, California. How you doing, Laura?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's looking forward to a great show tonight here. It's going to be ready for some good stuff here.
All
Maddie,
right,
you called
now
out already.
how come this year's trophy is so much bigger than last year's? Chris,
Because
you
Maddie
got-
knew he was gonna win. That's why.
well, we didn't know who was gonna win, and also I'm not the person for that, unfortunately. That was someone else's idea, but we're just gonna leave that be. Anyway, before we kick off the show, we have to give a shout out to the people that support us and sponsor us, and I'm gonna go in order. So, Siriani Says Sports is brought to you by the following: Outback Steakhouse in Middletown, Aussie Rules, Valix Enterprises, building projects for success, DAS Technology Consulting, simplifying technology, Jag One Physical Therapy, official therapy provider for the teams you love, the Grace Foundation of New York, support, empower, educate, enhance, integrated planning group, client-focused, advice-driven, and by Rocco's Original Italian Ices, a sweet summertime treat all year round. So, with those sponsors out of the way, we have a big show tonight. It's going to be a strictly NFL show, and the reason why we're going to go strictly NFL is because so much happened over the last 48 hours that we have to dive into, whether it's a coach firing, whether it's from a legend retiring, whether it's big week in the NFL, playoff scenarios, this, that. Like, it's just so much football to get into. And I promise when we get to our next show, we will get into some NBA. I tried to get into some NBA last week, but then obviously we didn't do the show, so we couldn't do NBA. But next week there will be some NBA, so do not worry. But anyways, let's get started. So we're going to start off the show with some with some fantasy football championship. Oh, I got to bask in my glory a little bit. All right. So anyway, I said it before. Champ is here. I got this trophy from winning the fantasy league. Loro says it looks like the Heisman Trophy. Very much it does. But ultimately, I gotta give a shout out to all the players who participated this year, including Ryan, including his brother Joe, his father Ryan Sr., Big D, Derek, who came in second place, the Floridians, Anthony, Mikey, Grandpa Tony, and Uncle Damien. Like, I gotta give a shout out to all of you because this was a really competitive season. Like it really was from the beginning to the end. But I want to weigh in on some statistics, and because I lived a season that was a Cinderella story. And I'll explain why. When you count the playoffs, I had 10 wins this season. 6 of those wins were by less than 7 points. If I had lost any one of those games, I finished 8-6 in the regular season. If I had lost any one of those games that I barely squeaked out on, I wouldn't have made the playoffs and I probably wouldn't have had a chance at the title. So that's crazy. And then also, when you factor in the playoffs, my point differential overall is negative 47. You won because the Manual Bleeders wasn't in it.
Probably.
That probably could have been the case. But like minus 47 point differential. I did the math in my head when I add up all my points and stuff like that. And I just thought that that's ridiculous. And like Ryan explained it to me when we called each other, and he was like, "Matt, you are the luckiest person in this league."
It's not even that. So now you know how they say the quote, "Made the rich get richer," right? I guess
Yeah.
now there's a way the lucky get luckier somehow. Because before this, and I remember I told you this before this week of games ended up starting, is I said you're gonna get crushed because I said Derek's team just doesn't have bad weeks. I said every time he plays somebody, your guys forget how to play football and his guys just go off for some reason.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess Maddie, your luck countered his. I don't know what happened, but like Ramondre Stevenson forgot how to play football. Like I don't know. Derek scored 80 points. I haven't seen Derek score 80 points Maddie the whole year.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's crazy.
So I don't know how that happens. I don't know what thing, Maddie, what pregame ritual, whatever the hell you did, Maddie. But Jesus Christ, I don't know. Whatever you did, Maddie, it was working.
And the thing was too, I played Derek 3 times this year. The championship game was the 3rd time I played him. The other 2 times I played him, he kicked my ass.
Oh, do you want? Oh, you only want? Oh, no. Oh no, man. Hold on, Maddie. I got to now. Now I have to tell you. So the 3 times that I played Derek, right? So the first time Derek scored 129 points, right? The next time I played Derek, he scored. Hold on, I'm not gonna go through it. Derek, 129, then 151, then 172. So continue. Derek scored about 400 points against me, but continue.
But like, it's kind of amazing because I never expected Derek to literally. I expected Derek to beat me to a pulp, and I was a 21-point underdog. First thing that happens, Zay Jones scores 2 points. I'm like, oh great, this is over. But then all of a sudden, Devontae Smith goes off. Dalvin Cook gets held in check. Ramondre Stevenson gets 3 points. Mahomes goes off, but that's literally it. No one else on the team went off. The Bronco defense looked awful on Christmas Day. Tyreek Hill doesn't go off. It was kind of crazy. And all he needed to do was just hope Tom Brady outscored Marquise Brown on Christmas Day, and that's what happened. That's what sealed the deal. And the Michael Pittman on Monday night didn't really matter. He had 4 catches for 39 yards, but it didn't matter at the end.
107 points.
107 points in a championship, and it was a win.
It just doesn't cease to amaze me, dude. It doesn't. Like, let me just go through something for you, Maddie. Right? How many did you score? 107, right?
Yeah.
I scored 107 points, Matt, one time this season. One time.
Wow.
One time. And it was a loss. You scored 107 on a win, Maddie. So let me just go through. Sometimes, Maddie, I would lose scoring 135. I lost scoring 135 twice. I lost scoring 143. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
All I can say is to wrap this up before we get into the plans for next year in 2023. This year, made me believe in God more than anything else. Like God really, really exists, and God and the fantasy gods, they like me for whatever reason. I don't know why, but
I
they
don't
just
get it,
like
dude.
me.
Like people want to say like there's a way to fantasy, and like there's always a way, right? Like that. Usually, the more knowledge you have in football, like the better you be in fantasy. That stuff for me now is thrown out the window. I'm just gonna say it because Maddie, like, if you just look at some players, right? Like, let me make you an analogy, right? This year, right?
Yeah,
Like, so you have players, right? Like Cooper Cup, like Justin Jefferson, right? Like Stephon Diggs, like Devontae Adams. That are usually like the consensus number one receivers going off the board, right?
right.
But then after that, right, you get guys like the lower tier, like Marquise Brown, like Tyler Lockett, like you get like all those other like not number ones, but like okay other options, right? And for me now, Maddie, I did some self thinking, and I was looking at the draft a little bit, Maddie. At what point does it become worth it to draft somebody like, let's just say like Debo Samuel, right? For your sake, right?
Yeah,
In the second round, right? Rather than get like a guy that you guys guarantee going to score. Like for me, dude, like receiver this year and like anything, dude, like outside of running back and tight end, dude, it just seems like receivers is just it's so random. Right, like,
yeah.
and I'll admit to you, and I think you can attest to it. This year, dude, was a wacky just season in general for the NFL, right?
Uh-huh.
And players that most people drafted within the top 12, like for instance, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris, like guys like that. Not even McCaffrey, but like those three in general, right? Like who thought Jonathan Taylor was going to be basically terrible this year, right? That Najee Harris was going to do virtually nothing the whole year. That Alvin Kamara was going to do absolutely nothing all year, right? And then you get guys like, let's just say like Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, like guys like that second tier down come up and be God, right? And then you see guys like Debo Samuel last year, who was probably the best fantasy player all year last year, goes down and it's like not great at all, right? And then you have guys like Tyler Lockett that were consistent every other week, right? And then you have guys like, for example, like
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like how like certain players, like when does it become not worth it? Like basically what I'm hinting at, Maddie, is like there's so much more luck involved in this than actual skill and knowledge. Because I would consider me and you, Maddie, like I know like at the end, like you ended up winning the whole thing, right? But like I'm not gonna lie to you, Maddie, like I felt like looking at my draft, I'm like, oh, I killed it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I looked at it, like I remember on the draft where like Derek's team's like very like all the teams that did very well were kind of like very like and like I don't know, dude. It just depends. It's so random, and that's like what I guess my biggest takeaway is like no matter how much research you do, no matter how much you think you know nothing. You know nothing.
Absolutely. No, 100% right with fantasy. You don't know anything until it happens on the field, and you just go from there. And also, I think another reason that's why I want to put a bow on this, I won because I made more acquisitions off the waiver wire than anyone else. I had 39 acquisitions off the waiver wire. The next closest was you with 27. And also, since I have my phone with me, I'm going to thank every player that started for me this year.
But can I make a counterpoint to that?
Sure.
You went defense by committee this year, which is why your number is as inflated as it is.
On the back half of the year, because I traded the Cowboy defense away.
But like for me, like I stuck with the Eagles defense all year, right? Like so, I'm not saying like that it's a bad thing, right? But that also goes to your point, Maddie, of like the fact like nothing's a sure thing, right? You had 37 waiver wire acquisitions, right? Because any single week, anybody could go off or anybody can suck, right? Like who would have thought? Like the biggest thing I saw, Maddie, which was crazy, is last week. Did you see that Evan Ingram got more points than George Kittle or like Josh Kittle, Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews combined?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, bruh. Oh, another guy, Kyle Pitts. I mean, Christ, dude. No, I'm gonna bite my tongue on it. Like I got fourth and I'm pissed, right? But like I had two guys that stuck the life out of me this year.
Well, there's always next year.
Oh my God, Kyle Pitts took years off my life. The Atlanta Falcons team took years off my life. God damn.
All right, so I want to thank all the people that started on my team, and I'm going to thank them individually. Thank you, Jonathan Taylor. Thank you, Debo Samuel. Thank you, Mark Andrews. Thank you, Michael Pittman Jr. Thank you, Miles Sanders. Thank you, Devontae Smith. You were the MVP in the championship. Thank you, Zay Jones. Thank you, Jerick McKinnon. Thank you, Adam Thielen. Thank you, Dak Prescott. Thank you, Trevor Lawrence. Thank you, Brett Maher. Thank you, Ryan Suckup. Thank you, Lamar Jackson. Thank you, Josh Palmer. Thank you, Raheem Mostert. Thank you, Tom Brady. Thank you, Gerald Everett. And thank you, Brandon Cooks. You all contributed to a championship, and you're forever a part of it. But now comes the fun part, which is I think going to be January 8th, depending on how things go. Big D, who came in last place, has to do a polar plunge. And Laura, I don't know if you know what a polar plunge is. Can you tell me what a polar plunge is?
He's in California. He don't know what that is.
I don't really know what that polar plunge is that you're talking
he
about.
He comes from the war. He doesn't know what it is.
All right, so for people who at home who don't know what a polar plunge is, a polar plunge is when you go into ice cold water, take a dip in it, and then go out with nothing but a bathing suit. So that's what Big D's punishment is. He has to go in freezing cold water on a beach in January and then come out of the water. That's his punishment for coming in last. But anyway, it was a great year. 2023 was a successful campaign for me. But now on to the next one. And I will say this. A lot of the policies that we had this year are going to be implemented next year. And what do I mean
no
by
longer
that?
the commissioner, Maddie. Isn't that right?
Oh, that's right. I have to go to you now.
So, yes, no, but I get it. We'll still be working, but like, no, we definitely learned some interesting things. And like, what me and Maddie did this year actually is we implemented not a feature, but we tweaked some scoring a little bit. And like, what we did is, what was it, Maddie? We put the quarterback passing yards from
Passing yards up by like 200ths of a point.
Oh yeah, I think it was like 0.05. We made it to 0.07. And like, you guys could be
0.06.
acting like that's not like ridiculous, but like in the long run, it actually kind of is. Especially and like we made it that like players that are so multidimensional are better because normally in fantasy, right? Like you got the Lamars, you got the Kylers, the Jalen Hurtses, like all those guys are good, right? But we kind of made it like that Josh Allen this year, not even Josh Allen, but like really those pocket passers were a lot more viable. But like we didn't tweak with the scoring that much. We definitely the roster thing definitely for me, Maddie, was I definitely think it was better than last year, right? That we had less like people on lineups. I definitely thought it. I definitely made it a lot harder when people had buys though, because you really couldn't store that many people and pick up new guys. Like it was definitely hard with bye weeks. Like that stretch was hard, right? But like it definitely like helped a lot, especially for like waiver wire and stuff. Like for me, like personally, like a lot of my team this year came from waiver wire. Like obviously I drafted Kenneth Walker and I stored him a little bit, but I picked up. What did I pick up? No, I picked up Ken Walker from waivers. But like I got a lot of guys from waivers that actually contributed a lot for me. I know you did, Maddie, too. But like definitely some of the features that we made. And then we're still gonna like figure out new stuff, right? Like obviously drafting, you can't really change much of that. It's really gonna be more of like, do we want to tweak more scoring? Do we want to? Maddie had a theory. I don't like it that much, but it's basically like making the flex position will count as a running back, a receiver, a tight end, or a quarterback. I personally don't like that. Personally, I think that's kind of The only thing for me, Maddie, which I would suggest, right? This is the only thing I've been thinking of and how to improve next season is, but I don't know how everybody's gonna feel about it. Do you know what super scoring is in fantasy, Maddie?
No, I do not. Please explain.
So super score is maybe not be called super scoring, but basically what happens is your score is basically accumulated by whatever people do the best on your team. So there's no starting lineups. It's just the whole team. So you'll have like 14 players, right? And it takes like your best 2 receivers, your best 2 running backs, your best tight end, your best quarterback, and then your next best player, and it does all their scores.
Wow.
So that's one suggestion which would help spice up, I guess, the league a little bit. I think personally, I don't know how I feel about it because I personally think that kind of takes a lot of the skill out of it. Not skill, but I guess that randomness. But it also makes it that like if your team's better than somebody, you should win.
Yeah, but also it also takes away the fact that feeling of I should have benched this. I shouldn't have benched this guy. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. That also like bothers some people. So I don't know. That was like one of the big suggestions I can have, but again, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But to put a bow on this, a lot of the players are coming back, and I'm just excited to defend the title. And also, the champion must come back to defend the title. So I'm officially declaring that I will be coming back in 2023.
Hey.
End of story. All right. So now on to the good stuff. We're gonna get off to the story of the week, which I think shocked. Well, it didn't really shock a lot of people because of the timing of it, but the timing could definitely kind of shock a lot of people. We're gonna start off with what happened in Mile High. Um, the Denver Broncos fired head coach Nathaniel Hackett after 15 games into his first season, and Laurel gave me a little bit of a stat yesterday. He's becomes the 5th coach in NFL history to be fired in less than one season. And Lauro, I know Lou Holtz was one. I know Urban Meyer was one. I know Bobby Petrino was one, and Urban Meyer was one. I think I'm missing one. It was Holtz, Petrino, Meyer, Hackett, and then one more. Who was that other guy?
I saw the list somewhere. I forget where it is.
Forgot. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I saw the list too. I forgot.
But that's not good company to be in if you're fired in less than 1 year. I forget who the other guy was. I know it's Holtz. I know for a fact Meyer did it because he got fired last year.
I'm looking. Hold on. I'm trying to find it.
But while Ryan finds the list, Laurel, we've been talking about Nathaniel Hackett a lot on this show, on Talking Sports. We've talked about him on our call when we're calling games. This had to be done, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it had to be done. I was thinking it was going to be after Week 18, but I think the new ownership of the Broncos just wanted to do it now.
And you want the thing is too, and while Ryan's still searching for the list, it seemed like the players didn't really buy into Nathaniel Hackett, and I put up a list of reasons why Nathaniel Hackett failed. It was bad clock management. It was bad play from Russell Wilson. It was turmoil on the sidelines. It was inconsistencies. It was bad primetime performances. It was the embarrassing losses. It was like so much bad stuff that you couldn't even count. And that was the reason why Nathaniel Hackett was gone. But I'm going to actually ask the both of you this question. Did you both
Okay, I got it. Who did you say, Maddie, it was?
Holtz, Petrino, Meyer, Hackett, and one other person.
Pete McCulley.
Pete McCulley, that's the guy.
1978 San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, that makes sense. Now it all comes together. So Pete McCulley is the 5th guy that I forgot to mention.
Now it's been back-to-back years where a coach hasn't even made it through a fully first year.
Yeah, but the difference, there's a contrast in differences between Urban Meyer and Nathaniel Hackett. Meyer was...
No, I agree.
Meyer was a problem. He was a big problem. Hackett was just bad at coaching. But I'm going to go to Ryan now. What do you think made Nathaniel Hackett a failure in Denver?
It's like you can, and the way I feel about it is I feel kind of similar to a lot of other people where I just don't think it's fully on Nathaniel Hackett. I think part of it is, right? But like, I guess my whole, problem with it, I guess the part I would say, like you said, Maddie, is the poor clock management. Obviously the poor, leadership figure, right, in the locker room is he didn't have a grasp on his locker room, which was the problem. Obviously, I think some of the play calling was definitely not good, right? But I think he just lost the locker room. He lost confidence in his players, and once that happens, dude, you're a dead man walking. So personally, I just think a lot of it came down to that. Do I think that's all his fault? No, I think a lot of it comes down to Russ too, and I just think the lack of just accountability on Russ's part, and the lack of just, getting on the same page, But I don't know, dude. We all knew from the start, Maddie, once Nathaniel Hackett was hired, that it was the goal to get Aaron Rodgers to Denver. And once it wasn't Aaron Rodgers and it was Russell Wilson, we still thought there was hope, but we all knew Denver's long-term plan was to get Aaron Rodgers, and that was kind of why they hired Hackett. And now, dude, I don't know who their coach is. I beg it's not Sean Payton, but I don't know, dude. They're in an interesting spot depending on what other coaches get fired.
So Lauro gave me some insight on what's going on in Denver for the remainder of the season, and also has some potential ideas of who could come to Denver to be the next head coach. Lauro?
It could be Sean Payton. Mark Ingram said on social media that it could get Russell Wilson going. I also I'm actually going to pick Dan Quinn to be the head coach of the Denver Broncos because Dan Quinn knows him in Seattle. and I also think that he can also hire Darrell Bevel to be the offensive coordinator, and then for a defensive coordinator, he can go like with Raheem Morris or somewhere along those lines.
I like that idea. I don't think that's where they go, personally.
I like
think
the
they
idea
go.
too.
Oh, go first, Maddie.
I like the idea too because it reunites them. It's the Seattle reunion in Denver. And Darrell Bevel, one of the things that made Russell Wilson so successful early in his career was the fact that everything was simplified. And I feel like this Bronco offense was just all over the place and not coherent whatsoever. So Darrell Bevel could be a good offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn was never really a great head coach, but I think that he can at least make things easier for Russell Wilson, and he can manage the defense too because Dan Quinn's specialty is defense. My question is, will the Dallas Cowboys be willing to let him go?
I think both I think both Dallas coordinators are actually going to be gone at the end of the year. Personally, either they're
So you
both
think
getting
Kellen
fired,
Moore's
they're
gone
both getting.
too?
I think they're both either getting fired or getting head coaching jobs. But I'll kind of speak about Dallas either later on another episode. But personally, like I understand what you guys are going for with Dan Quinn on defensive coordinator, right? But I feel like a lot of the times when teams hire defensive coordinators, it's that their offense is good, but their defense sucks. Right, that they try to get their defense going. Sometimes it's not right. With the Jets, it wasn't. It was more Casalo as a leader of men and like that type of personality, right? That he was kind of more like a head coach personality. But I think that they're actually going to. I think that this is going to be the final time. I think it's going to be the time where Eric Bieniemy is going to get a coaching job, and I think he's going to go to Denver because I think Maddie, you kind of hit it on the head where it's the offense and getting simplified. And if there's a guy, Maddie, that's been around the league a little bit and has seen offenses evolve, get simplified, get advanced, it's Eric Bieniemy. I mean, like that Andy Reid offense, dude, we've seen times like in Patrick Mahomes' first year where it was kind of pretty simple, right? You get the ball into Tyreek and Travis Kelce's hands, like get into your playmakers, let them do work, right? Now we've seen this year, right, how advanced it's gotten with the play calling and how it's been, right? And obviously Eric Bieniemy's been in those offense. He is the offensive coordinator technically. I know he calls plays sometimes. I know Reed does some of it too, but he's in all the meetings for the planning and all that stuff. And I think, Maddie, if you're in Denver, right, I think it's also a perfect fit too, because if there's a team, if there's a person that knows how to beat Andy Reid and knows how that team is, it's Eric Bieniemy. So I think personally trying to keep him in the AFC West, I think it gives them their best shot to beat Kansas City because he knows that offense in and out. He knows some of the defense. So I think it's a great hire because I think they need to get the offense going somehow, and I think that whole scheme can very much help Russell Wilson.
Eric Bieniemy wouldn't be a bad idea because he's been waiting for a head coaching job for a long, long time. And I think it's a matter of time before he actually gets the job that he so richly deserves. But now we'll see what happens with the Denver Broncos. They're 4-11 right now. A terrible start. Nathaniel Hackett fired after 15 games. Not a good look for the Denver Broncos, and that just makes the job even less intriguing than we thought it would be. But now we're going to move on to our next topic of discussion, which is actually a legend retiring. J.J. Watt, after 12 years, has decided, or indicated rather, that he will be retiring from the game after the 2022 season. And if you want to know what J.J. Watt has accomplished in his short career, I mean, 12 years, he's accomplished so much. And I'll just name some of his accolades right now. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Only Lawrence Taylor and Aaron Donald have won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. So he's one of 3 people to do something significant. 111 and a half career sacks. He was the number 1 player in the NFL, according to his peers, in 2015. 7-time All-Pro. 2017 Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner. And obviously, I think the first Houston Texan to get inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You would think. But I'm going to go to Loro now. Loro, we grew up watching J.J. Watt and when we were younger. How will you remember his career?
I would remember J.J. Watt as just the player he was, as one of the elite defensive players in the NFL. He was a great man off the field, and now I think with J.J. Watt retiring, now he passes the torch to T.J. Watt.
I think so. I think J.J. Watt will retire for like 1 year or 2 years, maybe, until we see the Pittsburgh Steelers get a little better. And then when they make a playoff run, we might see J.J. Watt unretires, like some people, Eric Weddle, Terrell Suggs. Some people kind of just will go to a team, hunt for a Super Bowl. Because I mean, basically, JJ's hinted for his whole career that he's wanted to play with his two brothers and TJ Watt and Derek Watt, who are both on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think he's retiring now to give it a little bit of time from the rest up, get healthy, enjoy life, his wife, his family, his kid. But I think eventually, Maddie, in 2 or 3 years, we see the Pittsburgh Steelers get a little better. I think we may see a little bit of a retirement from JJ Watt. Let's just say for probably like 8 games or so.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'll remember JJ Watt as just the dominant defensive defensive end that he was. He was a defensive end. He was an offensive nightmare for opposing offenses to game plan against. He was just so quick. He was so strong, so athletic. He was just at the perfect. He was just right where he needed to be. He was just swat passes left and right. I remember the first time I saw J.J. Watt. It was in a playoff game against the Bengals in 2011. It was his rookie year. He intercepted Andy Dalton and took it for a touchdown. And from there, his legacy just kind of built up and up and up. And the thing with J.J. is he never won the Super Bowl, but I think that that's going to be the one exception to his resume that I think people are just going to kind of push to the side and say this man's a Hall of Famer, like first ballot, because 2 20-sack seasons. There's only very few people that have one
back to back
20-sack seasons. Like, that's ridiculous in its own right. That's number one. Number two, he helped take a Texan franchise that was still had the expansion franchise on it to new heights. Like, I know that obviously the Texans were not amazing when J.J. Watt was on there, and they finally got their feet under the carpet when Deshaun Watson was their quarterback. But I just remember so much of how JJ and how dominant he was, how quick he got to the passer, how strong he was, how hard he hit people. And I just remember just the kind of man that he was. And I think the one thing for me, when that hurricane hit Houston, JJ was one of the first people there to help with the mess and raise money for charity to help clean up the mess that the superstorm or hurricane left in Houston. That just shows you what kind of guy he was. And he's just, like Laura said, just a great man off the field. And he will be missed. I don't know how long his retirement is going to be, but we've seen people retire after short careers. I mean, Luke Kuechly retired after 9 years. We thought he was going to unretire. He's going to stay that way. Andrew Luck played for 8 years. He's gone. So we're starting to see this trend now of legends wanting to play at the top of their game, reach the peak of their profession, and then walk away when they know they can't be the best on the field anymore. Do you think this is the trend going on, Loro, that legends are walking away too early?
Not really. I mean, look, I think that when legends walk early, it's basically running backs and basically all other skill position players because they wear out easily. But quarterbacks don't wear out too much.
Well, what would you say in the case of JJ, of him playing for just 12 years and then walking away from the game?
I think that's a good career for J.J. Watt. I mean, he could have spent his entire career with Houston, but I don't think he wanted to be in Houston because of the turmoil that they've been gone through.
And then also he played just 2 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals. He has 9.5 sacks this year. Ryan, what would you say? Would you think JJ could have played a little bit longer?
I think so, but I think the back injury that JJ Watt sustained early in his career is kind of what derailed him towards the end because, Maddie, obviously, as we know, right, the back is a injury that can derail careers, right? Like, it's one of the injuries, right? If you're a professional athlete, you never want to see happen no matter what sport you play because the back is something, it's not like it's the ACL, the MCL, the tricep, all these ligaments and stuff. The back is something that'll never 100% ever be right again, right? Where all these other things, you can get surgery and you can basically get it to basically like back, right? Like 99%, right? The back will never ever get anywhere close to how it was before he hurt it. And I guess that for JJ is what killed him, especially being a defensive end in his position, right? Where you need a lot of bend, you need a lot of power, you need a lot of that stuff that obviously comes from your back and stuff. And before that back injury, we saw JJ Watt was looking on the trajectory of that Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White type of level, right? Like just that dominant force. And unfortunately for JJ, the back injury kind of derailed him, but he's still, I would say, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt.
Absolutely. Congrats to JJ Watt on a phenomenal career, and here's to the best for him and the rest of his life. But now we're going to get into a little bit of low road nose on the status of Tua Tagovailoa. Laura, what do you have on Tua?
Well, Tua Tagovailoa is in concussion protocol as of Monday. Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, says that it's too early to name a starting quarterback, but if in the event that Tua Tagovailoa does not play on Sunday, Teddy Bridgewater will be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, and that might derail the Dolphins' playoff hopes. But you know what? We still have time. I do think that Tua Tagovailoa will end up passing the concussion protocol.
Well, you got to remember, Ryan, this is the second time that Tua has hit the concussion protocol. And now I didn't even notice he got a concussion. I remember when the news broke that I was kind of surprised because I didn't expect it to happen for him to land on it again. Because I watched the Packer game play by play, and I didn't notice him getting hit. Maybe according to Laurel, he got hit in the back of the head late in the game. But if you're the Dolphins, you can't afford this.
No, absolutely not. And I think the problem now, Maddie, which it comes down to, right, is now this is 2 major head injuries, right, in the span of a 4-month period, which we know is not good, right? And we also know with Tua now that the injury concerns, it's rearing its ugly head again, right? We saw in Alabama that he had that bad injury, right, which ultimately probably kept him from going number 1 overall in the 2020 draft, right? Then he comes to Miami. He didn't look really great last year. This year, he kind of came on strong with the new coaching staff, but now has 2 concussions. And now, Matt, it raises the question because, like you, I didn't actually realize he had the concussion, right? Now it makes sense on that play, right? Did you see like the comparison of his stats before that hit and after that hit? After that hit was when he threw the 3 interceptions.
Yeah, he threw 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter.
That was after that hit. So he was probably playing concussed at that point. But now it comes down to, right, if you're Tua, right, because that hit didn't look all that bad, right? And now what comes down to is his brain, like, not soft, but, like, is it more prone to concussions now? Because that hit didn't seem like it was going to, I guess, force a concussion, right? And it did ultimately. So now it comes down to is his brain, I guess, more prone now to getting concussions? Because obviously, as we know now, right, Maddie, it's not about how these players are on the field, right? We've seen now a lot of players after their careers that get CTE, unfortunately, and end up like getting messed up after. So now if you're Tua, it really depends on that. Well, let me say this first off. I think Miami should deactivate him for the rest of the season. I don't think Tua should play. Unless they miraculously get in the playoffs, I don't think Tua should play against the Patriots or the Jets. That's not because I'm a Jets fan or anything. It's actually for Tua's health. And I think this now comes down to the Dolphins actually being like, okay, do we care about Tua in the immediate or do we care about his long-term health? And I think as a person, like, you have to care for the long-term health, right, of Tua. Because let's just say, right, he misses this game, then comes back. Like, 3 concussions in a 1-year span is not good for anybody, even for professional athletes. And for Tua now, Maddie, it comes down to does Tua now contemplate hanging it up because of this? Like, because it comes down to yeah, you can make a lot of money and you can do very good things in football, but is it worth it to do that and then be 30 years old and be just messed up? So now it's interesting. I'm not going to answer that because that's not my place, and that's up to the Dolphins and for Tua ultimately. But it's not a good thing for Tua at all. The 2 concussions in the same year.
3 concussions. He took the Bills hit where they deemed it a back injury. Then we saw the nightmare in Cincinnati where his fingers were all messed up.
Yeah, so maybe 3.
So 3 concussions in a year. Laura, Ryan brought up a pretty decent point. I mean, you got to care for the health of your long-term quarterback, and 3 concussions in 1 year, I mean, it's just not good at all. I mean, do you blame this on the Dolphins organization more so, or is this just a game? Like, what do you think of this whole situation?
I don't even blame it on the Dolphins organizations because, look, concussions happen at any time during a game. But I feel like that the doctors, the way they've handled it, isn't that good.
No, not at all. But, like, think of it. 3 concussions in a year. Like, that. 1 concussion is bad enough, but 3? Like, what would you do about that?
You have to, you need to take more intense medicine for that.
Absolutely, and you got to proceed with caution. I think is the main thing with this. Tua's had a phenomenal year. I think he got more Pro Bowl votes than anybody. But to Ryan's point, I'm not saying bench Tua at all for the rest of the season, but I think after the season, if Tua contemplates whether or not he wants to play again after all the abuse that he went through with the doctors, all the abuse that he went through with Stephen Ross, all that stuff, then, but like, let me just tell you something. What if Tua clears concussion protocol, gets hit in the Patriot game again?
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. Because, and I'm not saying it's Tua's fault, but all the blame then can be put on the Dolphins, which is why I think the Dolphins have to take the necessary sacrifice and shut them down. Because if anything, right, if you're a Dolphin fan, right, you're gonna be pissed, right? Like I'd be pissed if I was the Jets, right, and this happened. But like as a human, you can look at the situation and be like, okay, like this, as much as it sucks, right, as a fan, like it makes sense. They're looking out for like the guy, and it's gonna come down to right with the Dolphins and Stephen Ross especially, right? Because now they've been kind of in the firing line of the NFL recently between the whole Tom Brady thing with tampering, and then the first concussion with Tua, right? The Cincinnati one, right? And then the whole thing with getting your pick taken away. Like the Dolphins have been under fire for a little bit. The whole Brian Flores thing, like they are not in a good spot with this. And now I would urge them to be very, very careful with this situation. Very careful.
Yeah, very, very careful. If they're not careful enough, listen, God forbid Tua gets hurt and gets concussed again.
Because again, this is somebody's career and somebody's life they're playing with right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
It's a tough decision for both sides. It really is. It really is. And I think if they shut him down, right? If they shut him down the whole year, and then during the season, if Tua makes the ultimate decision to be like, listen, I want to play, then if you're the Dolphins, be like, listen, that's his choice. But right now, you cannot put him in any more harm's way. You can't.
No, absolutely not. You gotta proceed with caution. All right. So Tua is questionable for week 17 against the Patriots. As soon as an update happens, we will try to let you know, and we will find out. And hopefully Tua can play at a high level if he decides to if he returns to play in week 17 against the Patriots. And this game is in Gillette, so Dolphins won't have the home field advantage. I'll be playing in the cold again. But
yeah, they're going to be in the cold again. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we get to the fun part. It's week 17, and we have some playoff clinching scenarios. Playoffs.
Do you want me to pull up the scenarios, Maddie? I actually have them ready.
Oh, you have them?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Do I look like I'm not prepared? What do you think, Maddie? So this is the AFC.
Prepared. Okay, so Ryan, you have the Jets, you have the Bills, you have the Chiefs, you have the Bengals.
Let me say first. So these teams up top are all clinched.
Yeah. But there's like some seeding that's involved as well.
Yes. And that is what is down below.
Okay, Ryan, it's all up to you.
Yeah.
What do you got for clinching scenarios for your Jets, for the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals?
Yes, this is a tweet from Shefty. Obviously, thank you, Shefty. But yeah, so first off, I'll kind of go top to bottom, right? For the Buffalo Bills, right? They currently sit in the number 1 seed, looking pretty right now. But they have a very interesting matchup, Maddie, this week. Actually, on Monday night, it was going to be a banger, by the way, in Cincinnati against the Bengals. Because this is interesting because right now how it is the Bills, with a win this week, are very much in the driver's seat to get the number 1 seed. Again, because if the Bills went out, they clinched the 1 seed. Right? So if they can beat, so if you see here, Buffalo clinches home field advantage for the AFC's first round bye with a win and a Kansas City loss, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose to the Broncos, right? But basically for Buffalo, you went out, you're the number 1 seed. But for the Bengals, right, they need help, right? For them to, well, first off, they can clinch the AFC North with a win or a Ravens loss or a tie, or just, we don't really look at the bottom because they're probably not going to tie, but if the Bengals win and the Ravens lose, the Bengals win the AFC North. And then the only way for the Bengals then at that point to get the number 1 seed is they're going to have to get a win against the Bills and then a Chiefs loss within one of the 2 weeks. The Bengals have to win out and then hope the Chiefs drop a game for the Bengals to get the number 1 seed. And then for the
Right.
Chiefs to get the number 1 seed, they got to win out and hope the Bills drop a game. So it's basically a 3-way race between the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Bills for the number 1 seed. And then in the AFC, right, Maddie, we have 6 playoff spots clinched thanks to the Chargers last night beating the Fighting Jeff Saturdays. But now, Maddie, that leaves 1 spot between the AFC Beast and the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets. And
Right.
for the Dolphins, they sit currently in the number 7 seed at 8-7. And they have 2 matchups against the Patriots and the Jets, fittingly for them, right? Obviously this week against the Patriots and then next week against the Jets. And Miami will clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Jet loss because they would beat the Patriots at that point, and then the Jets would have to lose the Seahawks. Or the bottom one is very funky, which I don't even think is going to happen. Like Miami tie plus Jet loss plus the Steelers loss. Like Steelers aren't in this.
That's a lot. That's a
Steelers
lot.
are done. So basically, I'll just make it short and sweet for you. For the 7th seed, Maddie. For the Jets got to win out. Patriots got to lose 1 game. For the Patriots got to win out. That's it. For the Dolphins got to win out. That's it. Because of the Patriots and Dolphins playing each other this week, whoever wins this game will have this sole possession of the number 7 seed going into week 18.
That's right.
And depending on, obviously, with the Bills playing the Patriots and then the Jets playing the Dolphins, we can have some very interesting matchups, Maddie. Because let's just say for some way, somehow, right, the Dolphins beat the Bills. Well, not the Dolphins, the Dolphins beat the Patriots. That sets up a winning in for the Jets and Dolphins in Miami, right? But if the Patriots win, then that sets up a winning in for the Patriots down in, or would that be at home?
It's in Orchard Park.
It would be down in Orchard Park, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be a winning in for the Patriots down in Orchard Park. And for the Jets, they need help. They got to win both games. But it could come down to a winning in week 18 if the Patriots end up dropping this week. So that's for the AFC. It's not that much. It's a fight for 1 spot and then 3 teams for the number 1 seed. But then I'll transition to the NFC.
Oh boy,
And
here we go.
One of you two can take. I'll let you take this. This is your conference.
This is my conference. Okay. So I'm gonna start off by preface by saying the Minnesota Vikings are some lucky SOBs. They are lucky SOBs.
Maddie, they
the
beat the
49ers
Jets,
clinched
the
the
Giants,
Western-
and the Bills by 1 score each.
Yeah. All right. So the Vikings clinched the NFC North. The 49ers clinched the NFC West. The Cowboys and the Eagles are both in, but the NFC East has not been in a clinch. One of those 2 teams will win. We have 3 spots left. We have a division title left to be decided, which is in the NFC South between the Panthers, Bucks, and Saints. And then we also have those 2 wildcard spots in the NFC. So let me just go to my team first.
A lot of scenarios here, Maddie. A lot of scenarios.
A lot of scenarios. But listen, you got to go with the number 1 scenario. Beat the Fighting Jeff Saturdays.
Just the
That's all
number
you
1
gotta do.
thing, Maddie. Win it
I'm
in.
we- I'm wearing the Giants shirt that my friends gave me. Please win. If you cannot lose to the Fighting Jeff Saturdays, who are going to start Nick Foles this week. You cannot. You're at home. You got the Colts. They're bad. You gotta win. Because listen, I'm not gonna be one to say, oh well, at least Washington and Detroit and Green Bay lost. No, I can't do that. Seattle,
It's
Detroit,
very-
Green Bay. First off, the Packers are playing the Vikings at home. The Lions are playing the Bears at home. Seahawks are playing the Jets at home. And the Commanders are playing the Browns, who stink. So you're really telling me that I have to rely on those teams losing to get in the playoffs if we don't win against the Colts? No. It's simple as this. Win and get in.
And that, Maddie, I will say for any fan, that is where you want to be. You want to have that ability to control your own destiny, Maddie. All you gotta do is win, and
All you gotta
are playoff bound.
In the words of a rapper, all you gotta do is win, no matter what. That's all you gotta do.
Yes.
Because you got the playoffs on your mind, and you're never giving up. And every time you step up in MetLife Stadium, all those hands will go up, and they better stay there. They better stay there.
Yes.
All right, but anyway, let's just go transition to another team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh my God, I'm just so hyped. The Philadelphia Eagles will play the New Orleans Saints, and they play the New York Giants in Week 18. This is why I want the Giants to win so badly.
That's why this week is important, Maddie.
That's why this week is important. The Philadelphia Eagles can clinch the division with a win or a Dallas Cowboy loss or tie. But the Dallas Cowboys are playing the Titans, who have lost 5 in a row. So you're probably not going to get the loss there. So you need to win against the New Orleans Saints. Pretty easy, right? The Eagles can clinch home field advantage in the NFC playoffs with a win or a tie and a Viking loss. Or a Dallas loss or tie, plus a Minnesota loss, plus
That
a
stuff never happens, dude. For the Eagles, it's simple. You win, the playoffs got to go to Philadelphia. Simple as that.
Yeah, listen, this winning in stuff is where you want to be.
That's where you want to be. You don't want to look at 2. You don't want to look at 3. Win. Giants, win. And that's it.
All right, next we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have a tough matchup against the Carolina Panthers, who have resurrected from the dead. The Bucs can clinch a playoff spot with a win by winning the NFC South. Just win and get in. That's it. And then the Commanders. They need some help to get in the playoffs. Even though they got the half game advantage, they need a win. They need a Seattle loss, a Detroit loss, and a Green Bay loss or tie. Now, why? Because Green Bay actually lost to the Washington Commanders earlier this year. So in the event that Green Bay ties and the Commanders lose, they'll both be 7-8-1, but the Commanders have the tiebreaker because of the win.
Exactly.
So,
and I'll preface this first off for both the AC and the NFC. This is going into week 18. So like all these teams, like let's just say like the Giants lose and like all this stuff doesn't happen. The Giants will still have another scenario go week 18, right? But like this is like for like just this week, right? If all of this happens, the playoffs will be done. Like we'll have everything decided for both things. This is not for just this weekend. This is just for this week, right? For the Commanders. So it looks very weird for the Commanders, right? But like let's just say they win, right? And then let's just say Seattle loses to the Jets, right? And then we'll say Detroit loses, right? But we'll say the Packers win. So then for Washington week 18, it would be Washington win or Green Bay loss or tie. And that would be it.
Yeah, like and the reason why this is like, believe it or not, the tie actually makes things way more interesting than we originally anticipated. I know we talked about what's going on.
It does.
The tie makes it way more interesting because now you don't have like the conference tiebreakers anymore. Where if you have the same record, there's a tiebreaker. Now it just gets interesting. So that's why I like the tie so much because it's like you have the half game advantage or half game disadvantage. So that's why I like the tiebreaker so much. But this is all the playoff scenarios for week 17. G-men, just win.
Jets, win. And then
that's it.
If Teddy Bridgewater wants to pull off a miracle and beat the Patriots, sorry, Lauro. But, oh, dude, Lauro, I'm sweating, dude. How you feeling about that? I'm sweating.
Feeling a little nervous here, guys.
I'm sweating, dude. For you, dude, I'd be sweating, dude. Buffalo week 18 is not a good sight to see. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Laura.
Oh my gosh, right? This is nervous time right here. I would want New England to win here, but I'm not saying Teddy Bridgewater can't beat us. But
I know.
I'm saying that if we lose to a Tua-less Dolphins team, then that's gonna be pathetic.
Dude, it'll be terrible, Laura, too, to beat the Dolphins right now, but winning in Buffalo, and then you don't win, and then the Jets win, and you have to see it would, like, for me, dude, that like week 18 for me, dude, it's gonna be terrible because you're like, oh shoot, I don't want the Patriots in. Oh shoot, I don't want the Jets in. One of us is gonna come off like very excited. Like this show next week, Laura, if the Jets and Patriots both win, is gonna be very interesting, because it's gonna be one of us. And that's it. And I'm not going to lie to you, Laura. Part of me doesn't want to get in the playoffs. I'm not going to lie to you. Because I see you making that face, Maddie, right? But the consensus that I had, Maddie, right, is Buffalo's going to get the number 1 seed, right? And the players are going to go through Orchard Park, most likely, right?
Yeah.
You know who's the number 2 seed? You know who I think's getting the number 2 seed?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Do I want to watch my team, Maddie, get obliterated on national television by the Chiefs? I don't know if I really want to see that, Maddie. Like, I don't know if I want to see the Jets just have to deal with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and be like, well, this is what it feels like, doesn't it? They just get put on prime time against the freaking Chiefs and get absolutely killed. I don't know, Maddie, if I can handle that. So I don't know because it is going to be an obliteration, and I don't know if I want that on Wild Card Weekend.
I kind of understand that, but at the same time, the Jets started so well, and then Brees Hall gets hurt, and it's been a downward spiral.
Dude. Like, if you were to tell me, Maddie, like once, like if you were to tell me, Maddie, right, like after the streak that the Jets have just been on, right, like the whole roller coaster between Zach Wilson and Mike White. If you're telling me going into this that there's still a very good shot, I would have told you out of your mind. But like, Maddie, and like I'll preface this first, right? As a Jet fan, right? And like I'll say this to all my other fellow Jet fans, this season, like ultimately, right? As a Jet fan, Maddie, what did I tell you as a Jet fan I wanted this year? Me and my dad, respectively. No, not that. No, not that. We said we want to be playing meaningful games in December. And Maddie, goddamn, we're gonna be playing meaningful games in January. This is better than I could have hoped for, Maddie, because this right now, dude, as stressful as it is, dude, it is fun. Not looking at mock drafts, Maddie, and not knowing any damn college players outside of Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and Will Anderson. It is fun.
Oh my God.
I'll say that. It is fun, Maddie, when your team is relevant and into it. Like, even for you, Maddie, as a Giant fan, it's been nice, right? So be like,
it's been great.
Oh, shoot. Like, as stressful as it is, dude, it's been
the
fun.
Giants have not made it easy on me. Every week is a freaking nightmare.
Dude, Maddie, if I was a Giant fan, dude, Maddie, there must be at least 5 years taken off your life. Dude, by the amount of games the Giants have, dude, like being a Giant fan this year, dude, must take years off your life.
It's taken a whole year off my life. No. I feel bad for Viking fans.
Them too, but I feel bad for Lauro too, dude. Watching Matt Patricia call offensive plays just makes me want to rip my hair out. Like, obviously, Lauro, one of my best friends, is obviously a Patriot fan, dude, and like he just tells me, he goes, I just can't watch Matt Patricia call offensive. It pains the soul.
Oh my God, Lauro has the amount of times Lauro has come to me and said Matt Patricia shouldn't be calling offensive plays is ridiculous.
Dude, that oh my God.
I said, guys, that he can coach the offensive line, but he shouldn't be an offensive coordinator.
Dude, you don't know how many times, Lauro, that as much as I hate the Patriots, right? I do feel bad, right, Lauro, when it's like 3rd and 8 and I see a draw and I'm like, oh my God. Like the amount of third and long runs that Matt Patricia does, dude, it just makes you want to rip your hair out. It really does.
It absolutely does.
Oh boy.
But
Maddie, it is very interesting, Maddie. All three of us.
I bet calling Patriot games has been stressful for Lauro all year long.
It has.
Dude, it's fun though, dude. Going into weekend, it's 17. All three of us have something to fight for. It's fun.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna make a promise right now on this show. I tried to get this kid on the show before, but I'm gonna try and see if I can get him on now. So there's a kid named Sam Prince. I don't know if any of you guys.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Okay.
So Sam Prince, for those of you who don't know, is a big lifetime Giants fan and a Make-A-Wish kid who made the pick of drafting Kayvon Thibodeau in the first round. Lauro, you might know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, is he on? Is he? Did you send him the link?
I've talked to him on Instagram, and I'm friends with him on Instagram. I'm friends with him on social media, and I invited him on the show. He says, I would love to be on the show. I'm busy right now, but I would love to be on the show. So here's what I'm going to say right now. If the Giants get in the playoffs this week, I am personally going to invite Sam Prince onto this show. I'm going to make another effort. I'm pretty sure he would love to talk to the Giants because he's a lifelong Giants fan. And I know Ryan's going to look at me and say, no shot. But it's happened. I've come this close. And
that'd be hype too. But like, Maddie, part of me, Maddie, wants next Tuesday, Maddie, to be like all three of us stressed out of our mind. Like, as much as I want the Giants to win and get in, right? Just for your sake, dude. How fun would it be, Maddie, a week from today, right? For us to just be like, oh, shoot, for all three of us, just be like, win and you get in.
Oh.
But not for the Jets' sake, but like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Be like, oh my God, like next week, dude, like week 18, dude, oh my God, that would be, oh my God, dude, there might be tears, dude. Like, if it comes down to, you know what would really crush me, Maddie, as a Jet fan, is if the Jets manage to win both these two games, right? And for some miraculous reason, the Patriots decide week 18 to beat the freaking Buffalo Bills, Maddie, there might be tears. There might be. I'm not
That's what
gonna
I
lie
love
to
the
you.
most about.
I
That's
would
what I
be
love the
I
most.
would be so upset. I would be so upset.
This is
I
what
can
I love the
imagine-
most about the football. About football. This is what I
I
love
can
the most.
imagine the same thing for you, Maddie. If you lose to the freaking Fighting Jeff Saturdays, and then the Philadelphia Eagles just rip your soul out for another time on third, like we get. Maddie, me and you might be crying together, dude. We might
First
be.
off, let me just say one thing. I'm not ruling out the possibility that the Eagles could possibly put all their
Oh
starters
no,
in.
dude! I have a conspiracy theory. Even if Philly, so this is what I was gonna actually ask you about. So
Yeah.
if Philly, right, locks up the number 1 seed this week, right, and
Yeah.
then has it locked up, but then the Giants, right, have a win and get in Philadelphia, I do, because I told my dad goes, "You're out of your mind." I think there's a way to where Nick Sirianni and this front office just goes, "Okay, we're gonna stick it to the Giants again and start all their starters and beat them again and don't let them get in."
me
There
ask
is
you
a
one easy
world,
question.
dude.
Remember in 2020 when Doug Peterson put Nate
That's what I'm
Sudfeld in the
saying.
game
It makes
against the
sense,
Commanders
dude.
to screw the Giants out of winning a division title?
It makes sense, dude. Like, it makes
Laura,
sense.
do you remember that?
Yeah, I think we gotta. We'll have to save a lot of this talk for another day here because we have to talk
we'll save it
about.
for next week. We will save it for next week.
Dude. I don't I don't know, dude. Next week is
Well,
very interesting, depending
listen,
on a couple scores.
Just win. Just win. Like the great Al Davis
For all
said.
three of us, just
win.
win.
Just win, baby. Just win. All right. I'm stressed out right now. Let's just do picks based on the spread.
That's how you should feel, man. That's how you should feel. It's only Tuesday.
Are we
It's
just
only gonna
skipping
build
the
up.
college football playoff thing?
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna go through this really quick. College football playoff. We got the Ohio State Buckeyes taking on the Georgia Bulldogs in the I think it's the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, it's not the Peach Bowl. It's the
Sugar Bowl.
Ryan. Check it.
Which one? What game?
Ohio State in Georgia. Ohio State and Georgia. Hold on, I got this.
I'm trying to figure out what bowl game is it called? Why am I losing it? What the hell?
Hold on a second. I'll find it. Peach Bowl. Yeah, I was right. I was right.
It
Peach Bowl.
is the Peach Bowl. Yeah.
All right, so Peach Bowl, Ohio State, Georgia. Who do you got, Ryan?
Who do I got? Are the draft eligible players playing? I believe they are for Ohio State, right? And Georgia, respectively.
Yes.
I think they are, right? I'm still gonna take Georgia, dude, because you guys heard my spiel about CJ Stroud, and I think he's gonna show everybody that he's still like overrated.
I'm gonna take Georgia as well. I just think that even though they lost half their starters from last year to the draft, they're still one of the better defenses in college football. And CJ Stroud did not have a good game against Michigan, and I feel like this is where we start to see the downfall of Stroud's draft status.
Exactly.
Unless he makes a big pop at the combine, but I highly doubt this is gonna be the case. Laura, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Ohio State. I just don't want to see Georgia in the national championship game again.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right. Next, we have TCU versus Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl.
Ugh, gross.
This is a tough one.
Rip.
Ryan, what do you think?
Give me Michigan. I think I'm gonna say this, dude. I think Michigan wins the whole thing.
I have Michigan winning the whole thing as well, and I have them winning against TCU. Laura, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with the Michigan Wolverines, and in my bracket, I have Michigan playing Ohio State, and then I have Michigan winning it all.
Well, we're all in agreement on
Let me ask you a quick thing, because I have a quick theory on this. Like, do you think Jim Harbaugh leaves and Michigan wins the whole thing?
No, not at all.
I don't know about that, Laura. I don't know about that. Because there's a couple NFL teams, if I was Jim Harbaugh, I'd be looking at.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Harbaugh is doing well in college. Why would he want to leave?
Yeah, but if I'm Jim Harbaugh and I can knock on the door and be like, yo, fire Brandon Staley, I want to coach Justin Herbert. There's a couple jobs, dude, in the NFL. If I were Jim Harbaugh, that I would consider. And also, he said that he's wanted to come back to the NFL. And if there's a better time, why don't you go out on top? That's just
We'll
me
see what
personally.
happens when we cross that bridge.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, now it's picks based on the spread time.
Yes. One of the final weeks of picks based on the spread. And again, we got all the NFL games this week, so
Did you guys
Very
talk about
interesting.
favorite team recaps? Are we gonna get into that, or we kind of did
Oh
that?
no,
already?
we're a little over an hour. I'm sorry. Actually, we'll recap the teams really quick. The Patriots lost to the Cincinnati Bengals 22-18. They were down 22-0 at one point. They had a rally, but Ramondre Stevenson fumbled the ball inside the 10-yard line. Comeback falls short. Patriots fall 7-8. Jets lose to Jacksonville Jaguars in the rain, 19-3. Trevor Lawrence continues his hot stretch, and the Jets
Our Lord
fall
and Savior,
7-8.
Mike effing White. Our Lord and Savior is back.
And Mike White is back. Next, and then for the Giants lost on a 61-yard field goal off Greg Joseph's leg, and they allowed Justin Jefferson to go off 133 yards receiving on, I think, 10 or 11 catches. And then TJ Hawkinson had 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Giants was on a 61-yard field goal and 27-24. Tough one.
Rip.
All right. Now picks based on the spread.
Maddie, for the last Thursday night game of the year, we got the battle of the Bama backs themselves. Zeke Elliott, Derrick Henry, Cowboys -9.5 in Nashville.
The Titans have lost 5 in a row. They need to win so badly.
Malik is not him. Malik is not him.
Malik is not the guy. Malik Willis is just not the guy, and especially against this Cowboys defense, I don't really see that happening.
Good luck.
Good luck. I gotta take the Cowboys here, -9.5.
Yeah, so am I.
Laura, what do you think?
I'm going to go the Dallas Cowboys as well. I mean, this defense is going to get to Derrick Henry. The Titans have been on a downfall as of late.
They're
All
on
right,
a-
what's
I want to
next?
say downfall. I say a free fall, but yes, I get the
Free fall is a
point.
good way to put it. What's
I
next?
get the point, dude. Gross. Cardinals, Falcons. Trace McSorley versus Desmond. Gross. Falcons -3.5.
All right, raise your hand if you don't care about this game. All right.
Gross.
What's the spread again?
Falcons -3.5. This is.
I'll take the
gross.
Falcons -3.5. Trace McSorley looked bad against the Buccaneers.
Ugh.
Brian, what do you
I'm
think?
gonna take the Arizona Cardinals.
+3.5.
Yeah.
All right, Laura, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. I think Desmond Ridder gets his first win as a starting quarterback.
All right,
Ugh.
nice. What's next?
Next, Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions. Interesting game. The Lions at Ford Field, they're very good, and they are -5.5.
Lions -5.5. The Lions need to win to stay alive in the playoff hunt. I gotta go with the Detroit Lions. I just think that they're more superior than the Chicago Bears at this point in the season.
I agree.
Laura, what do you think?
I'm going to go to the Detroit Lions. Fighting Dan Campbell's at it again.
Fighting
All
Jeff
right, what's
Saturdays. My joke. I get it though. Next. Yikes. Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs. In Arrowhead, Chiefs -13.5.
Rip the
Yikes.
Broncos. Rip the Broncos.
Ooh,
Rest in
sheesh.
peace, Denver Broncos season.
Rest in peace, Denver Broncos season. Good one.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Oh, the famous quote from Russell Wilson.
And
Oh my
it's
God,
just,
what's next?
I'm taking the Chiefs, but yes. Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots. In Foxborough, Patriots -2.5.
And this is all going to depend on whether Tua plays or not.
I know.
You know what? If the Dolphins are favored by 2.5, I'm going to take the Patriots +2.5 here.
No. It's the Patriots favored by 2.5.
Oh, the Patriots favored by 2. I'll take the Patriots on this one. Patriots -2.5. Brian, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with the Dolphins because they're so stacked.
All right, Laura, what do you think? Your team versus the Dolphins.
I'm hoping for Mac Jones versus Tua Tagovailoa, honestly. So give me Mac Jones and the New England Patriots to take this win.
Bama
Okay, what's
boys.
next?
Next, Maddie, the Fighting Jeff Saturdays and your New York Giants, Maddie. Giants -4.5. How we feeling?
This is how you spell their nickname.
Yes.
This is how you spell their nickname.
Yes.
I'm going to stand up. Please get a win. I want to go to the playoffs.
Maddie, face your camera. What do they need to do?
Win. Just win.
Win.
Please just win. I've had enough of the stress. Please.
You know, Maddie, I think your suffering is gonna end, Maddie. I think the Giants are gonna win. I'm gonna take
I
them by
hope the
4.5
Giants
too.
win. All right, Laura, what do you think?
I am going to go with the New York Giants. I just think the Fighting Jeff Saturdays are done.
Nah, there's no more fight left in that team. They're done fighting.
Their fight is dead. They're dead. What's
No,
next?
they're the KO'd Saturdays, but yes. Next, Saints, Eagles. Eagles -6.5. And it may be without Jalen Hurts, and I'm still taking them.
I'm still gonna take the Eagles as well. I just think they're more superior than the Saints. Even though the Saints have an outsider's chance to win the division, I just don't think
Nah.
I see it. I'm not feeling it. Laura, what do you think?
Going with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts is going to be out until the playoffs. Give me some Minshew mania.
Hell yeah.
Nice. What's next?
Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Bucks. This might be for the division. It's close. Might be for the division. And it's the Bucks minus 2.5.
The Bucks are minus 2.5. They look
Tommy
like
boy.
crap. They looked like crap against the Panthers, or against the Cardinals, rather. They looked like crap.
They did.
They looked really, really bad. And I'm going to say this. Sam Darnold could actually take the Panthers to the playoffs.
He might, dude, and that would be a real slap in the nuts, wouldn't it, Matty?
It would be a real slap in the face to Jet fans. Really would be.
What are you
You
feeling?
know what? I'm going to take the Panthers plus 2.5.
I am too, because I think the Panthers started the Bucks downfall when you remember, Matty, when Mike Evans dropped that wide open. That was what started this whole thing, and I think they're going to beat him again.
I do. The Panthers beat the Bucks early in the year. Laura, what do you think? Bucks and Panthers.
Go with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think the Bucks win this division.
Okay. What's
Fair
next?
enough, Matty. Browns and Washington Commanders. Commanders minus 2.5.
Please lose, Commanders. Please lose. Please.
Oh, is Deshaun coming back? Is Deshaun coming?
I'm gonna go with the Commanders on this one. Unfortunately, I gotta go with the Commanders.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna go with them too.
All right, Laura, what do you think?
I am going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I just think that Deshaun Watson has something to prove in the last 2 games of the season.
That's fair.
Fair. All right, what's next?
Next, Matty. Jaguars, Houston Texans. I will say this game actually does not mean as much as you think it does, because that division comes down to week 18.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
So this week means nothing for both these teams, but it's still the Jags minus 4.5. Trevor's coming, dude. Trevor's coming.
I've been so impressed by this guy. I've said
Trevor's
the
good.
word
He's
phenomenal
good.
when describing Trevor Lawrence.
He's good.
But Ryan does have a point. It all comes down to week 18 because the Jaguars could have the 1-game lead going into week 18. But if the Titans win, they're even. But the Titans have the tiebreaker.
The conference record is the problem. So
a conference record,
yeah.
exactly. So I'm gonna go with the Jaguars for now. I know Loro has a different opinion, but I'm gonna go with the Jaguars minus 4.5.
Yeah, so am I.
All right,
I'll go ahead and say it. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans winning 17-14 over the Jags.
No,
And I say this because, hold on, Ryan, hold on. And the reason why I say this is because I kind of want drama next Sunday. I just think that if you look at this game, it means nothing for both teams, honestly. And I think Houston and Chicago will be playing for the number 1 pick next week.
That means more to the Texans than it does for the Jags. I'll tell you that for a fact, because I can damn well tell you that the Houston Texans want to select Bryce Young so bad. But I will say this, it probably means nothing in the landscape, because if the Bears get that number 1 pick, they are most likely trading out or taking Will Anderson. So I agree with you at some point, but I think you'd rather have the number 1 pick if the Houston Texans think it'll win personally.
All right. Interesting. What's next?
Next, Matty, San Francisco 49ers, Las Vegas Raiders. This game really means nothing at this point, but I'm going to go, and it is the Niners minus 5.5 with Brock Purdy at the helm still.
Brock Purdy, man. My God. Brock Purdy.
Mr. Irrelevant turned to Mr. Relevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. This could be the next Tom Brady story that we've all been looking for.
Imagine it's not, though, but
It's not really, guys. I think
not.
that you just have to wait and see.
Well, we'll see.
it's not.
We'll see. I'm going to go with the 49ers minus 5.5, though.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to turn into that, Matty. So I think they put all their eggs into Trey Lance baskets. So I think Brock Purdy may stick around and be the backup next year, but I think they got all their eggs in the Trey Lance basket.
All right, Laura, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Raiders, and I say that because I kind of think the Raiders
He likes his boy
should
Josh.
have an
He likes his
opportunity.
boy.
You're right, Ryan. You're right. I
He
love my
likes
guy,
his boy.
Josh.
He likes his
And
boy. He misses him.
and the Raiders can still have a chance, you know.
All
right.
Patriots fans wanted him gone, and now they'll be singing their happy tales if he comes back. They want
what's
him
next?
so bad. Next, Maddie, my New York Jets at the Seattle Seahawks. It is the Jets' favorite, the Mike White effect in Seattle, which I don't agree with personally, but it is the Jets -2.5.
I think the 12th man's gonna come out strong in Seattle.
Ah, shit, you're boring, Maddie. God damn it.
I hate to say this
You're,
to you.
oh, come on.
Geno Smith is gonna come in here.
No. We are going to see the real Geno this week, Maddie. We are going to see him. He's coming back into full form.
I'm sorry to say this. I'm gonna say Seahawks plus 2.5.
You're so boring, bro. You're so boring. I'm going to take the Jets. You disgust me. I took the Giants as well, and you can't even take my.
I'm sorry.
I see how it is. Hopefully
Laura, what do you think?
No. The Matty Curse in full effect.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Geno Smith is starting to come to his own, and I'm not built into this Mike White hype, but he might be the guy going forward if Zach Wilson is released.
Did you see the line before they reveal what the? Did you see what the line was, Laurel? Did you look at it?
Not really,
It was 4.5 for the Seahawks before Mike White was starting, and went to plus 2.5. It was a 6-point swing by one guy, big name quarterback. So don't tell me that it is the Mike White. I don't want to hear it. They should have beat the Vikings, and Mike White, I don't want to hear it. It is the Mike White effect.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Obviously, tensions are high. What's next? What's next?
Next, Maddie. Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. Packers -3.5 in Lambeau.
I think the Vikings lose their first one possession game of the year. I'm going with the Packers -3.5.
Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you because I think we're gonna see in the cold Kirk Cousins, not looking too good. I think we're gonna see. I mean, Aaron Rodgers looks like he's clicking again. Christian Watson's looking pretty good. I mean, those backs are doing pretty good. So I'm gonna root you. I'm gonna take the Green Bay Packers.
All right, Laura? What do you think? Hold on a second.
I'm just gonna do this.
All right, Laura's talking to
he's
somebody
coming.
right now. All right, Laura, what do you think? Packers and Vikings.
I'm actually going to go with the Green Bay Packers, and I think they covered the spread like you said.
Okay, what's next?
LA Rams, LA Chargers. Chargers -6.5. I don't think
The
there's
Battle
much
of
reason here.
LA. The Chargers are already clinched the playoff spot. The Rams are eliminated. I'll give you the Chargers.
Yeah.
Laura?
No more Baker magic.
I'm going to go with the Chargers too. This team is still playing for something after clinching the playoffs. They could still be the 5 seed, or I think they're trying to lock up the 6 seed.
All right, what's next?
Next, Maddie, Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens. We've seen this matchup before, Maddie. Ravens -3.5. I think Lamar's going to play too, I believe.
Lamar should play. Laura and I are calling this game on Twitter Spaces. The Pittsburgh Steelers need a win and some help to get in the postseason. And I think we might see the end of the Pittsburgh Steelers' streak of winning seasons. I think the Ravens take this one. Ryan, what do you think?
I agree. Because the Ravens are still fighting for the AFC North too.
All right, Laura, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Ravens. Either if Lamar Jackson starts or if Tyler Huntley starts.
That's
okay,
fair.
interesting. What's next? What's last?
Thanks, Maddie. Monday night. Oh boy. Buffalo Bills go to the jungle to face the Cincinnati Bengals. And it is the Bills favored by 1.5 in Cincinnati. Sheesh.
You know what? Joe Burrow is a big-time player.
Joe Burrow is him, but Josh
Joe
Allen is
Burrow
also
is-
him.
Joe Burrow is the next GOAT.
I
his
wouldn't go that
generation.
far.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm saying the GOAT, meaning the next big-time player. He could beat Patrick Mahomes. We've never seen him versus Josh Allen before. Give me the Bengals plus 1.5.
I disagree with you because I think that the Bengals match up better against the Chiefs due to that electrifying receiving core. Where I think the Bills with Micah Hyde, well, not Micah Hyde right now, but Jordan Poyer, with Tre'Davious White, with Kyer Elam, with that whole defense that they have, with that whole secondary, with that front four that they have, with Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds, I think they actually match up well against this Bengals offense, and I think we're going to see the Bills take it in Cincinnati.
All right, what do you think, Laura?
You and I, Matt, are calling this game on Monday night, and I cannot wait to call this game with you in the jungle. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be a game-winning field goal from 38 yards by Evan McPherson.
All right. So
All right.
that's our picks on the spread, and that's going to conclude a very intense, very electrifying show. For those of you who want to follow us, tune us. Follow us on Instagram at Siriani Says Sports, at Facebook at Siriani Says Sports, on Twitter at Siriani Says Sports, and on YouTube at Siriani Says Sports. And if you also want to see more content from me and myself and Loro, we have Talking Sports with Loro and Matt that's on every Saturday. Although we're not going to be on New Year's Eve because we have a lot of stuff going on New Year's Eve. But we'll be back on January 7th, I believe.
Yes, January 7th, when we talk about the two Week 18 games that are going to be happening on ESPN and ABC.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to have a lot of time for that. But obviously, this has been a really great show. We're a little bit over an hour, but we finished pretty decent time-wise. From Ryan Baird Jr. and Laura Antonio, I'm Matt Siriani. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know my birthday was supposed to be – we were supposed to have a birthday episode, but obviously that got canceled because of certain conflicts. Thanks so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate your support. Christopher Lamonaco, I want to give you a shout out. Lindsay, Alt, and Sierra, I don't know how to pronounce it. Stadvinsky, I think your last name is. Sierra and Lindsay, thank you for this shirt. Go G-Men. And yeah, that's going to conclude an awesome show. So from the three of us, take care. Have a great night. Happy New Year to all of you guys. And of course, peace out.
Have a great night, everyone.